The Empire lands. The skies over Earth tore open like paper. From orbit, the Thalrexian fleet descended in perfect formation, sleek, obsidian ships the size of cities blotting out the sun. Civilians across the globe froze in fear as the first wave of shadow fell. The Empire had arrived, and it made no effort to hide. In the lead vessel, High Strategist Vector watched Earth spin beneath him. He clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. Primitive, fragmented, perfect for assimilation. He barely registered the ambassador's pleas as Earth's leaders begged for mercy. Their voices, weak, desperate, terrified, only confirmed his belief. Humanity was just another forgettable species awaiting its place in the Empire's chain of servitude. The first strike was a lesson. With a flick of his claw, Vector ordered a demonstration. A crimson beam lanced from orbit, vaporizing New York City in a single breath. Billions watched in horror. And then silence. No retaliation. No official declaration. Just a world mourning in shock. To them, this is mercy, Vector said. Better they learn obedience now, before the real pain begins. He dispatched ground units to establish control zones. Cities fell in hours. Alien patrols walked human streets, their armor glinting with energy fields, their weapons humming with authority. Resistance was minimal, at first. Then, they started going missing. In the ruins of Manhattan, a squad of Thalrexian enforcers vanished. Their last transmission, static, then screams. Another team found their remains impaled on rebar, faces twisted in terror. Nearby, scrawled in ash and blood across a collapsed wall, was a message in English. You've awakened something you can't control. Reports of human ambushes began to multiply. Convoys sabotaged. Checkpoints turned into slaughterhouses. Entire units routed by unseen attackers. Worse, some of the Thalrexian soldiers were found mutilated. Not for information, but for revenge. The ground beneath Vector's arrogance began to shift. On the outskirts of a ruined military base, Sergeant Maya Reyes crouched in the shadows, watching a patrol march past. Her face was streaked with grime, eyes sharp with purpose. A former U.S. Marine, she had lost everything in the initial strike: family, home, command. Now she fought with rage and ingenuity. Her unit had no tanks, no ships, just scrap tech, rifles, and hate. And that was enough. She gave the signal. Within seconds, alien screams echoed through the night. Traps triggered, improvised explosives ignited, and Reyes charged into the chaos with a machete and a war cry that chilled even the night air. When the last alien fell, she took their comm device and whispered into it. You think we're afraid of you? You burned our cities. All you did was take away what we had to lose. Vector watched the casualty reports pile up. He dismissed them. Isolated incidents, statistical noise. Yet something gnawed at the edge of his mind, a sliver of doubt he'd never felt in centuries of conquest. Then came a final report from a dying officer. They don't fight like the others, the alien croaked. They enjoy it. And for the first time, the Empire felt a flicker of something unfamiliar. Fear. Blood in the forest. The Amazon swallowed them whole. Lieutenant Karek adjusted his visor, scanning the dense jungle as sweat beaded beneath his armor. The Empire had sent him and his unit, Thalrexian jungle specialists, to root out the insurgents. He had expected a short mission, a show of force. But that was 10 days ago. Now, the trees whispered death. Motion sensors failed. Drones vanished mid-patrol. Soldiers disappeared one by one, dragged into the brush without a sound. The jungle, Karek realized, wasn't just resisting, it was alive with malice. And it had sided with the humans. At night, the forest screamed. His squad had been reduced from 20 to 5. They hadn't seen the enemy, only the aftermath. Carved symbols in bark. Alien limbs found hanging from vines. Dismembered Thalrexians with primitive arrows lodged in their throats. It didn't make sense. The humans had no space-age weapons, no advanced cloaking tech. But they had something else: cruelty. One night, they stumbled into a clearing where the trees had been deliberately cut. A trap. Karek recognized the classic Empire ambush pattern and moved cautiously. Too late. Flames erupted. Tripwires triggered explosions. The night lit up with fire and gunshots. Then came the screaming. Not from humans. From his own soldiers. Karek turned to run, but was tackled. A human woman loomed over him, blood-splattered, eyes like war gods, mouth twisted in a snarl. Sergeant Reyes. She didn't kill him. She cuffed him. He awoke tied to a chair in a makeshift bunker built into the roots of a colossal tree. A screen flickered in front of him. Reyes stood beside it, arms crossed. "I'm not going to interrogate you," she said flatly. "I'm going to educate you." She pressed play. Footage rolled. Black and white reels of men in trenches, rotting in mud as shells exploded around them. Helicopter gunships spraying jungle. Cities reduced to ash by firebombs. Nuclear mushroom clouds boiling the sky. And the soldiers, laughing, shouting, marching into hell like it was home. "Do you know what this is?" Reyes asked. "It's our history. It's what we do to ourselves when we're angry. Now imagine what we'll do to you." Karek's breathing quickened. His claws clenched. "You think you've seen war," she said, leaning close. "You haven't. You've seen conquest. This is war. And now you're in it." Karek shook in his bonds. He whispered, "You're monsters." Reyes smirked. "No, we're human. Monsters are afraid of us." Back in orbit, High Strategist Vector stared at the casualty updates from the Amazon. The reports mentioned heat exhaustion, dehydration, and ambush, but beneath the data was something more dangerous. Panic. Discipline among Thalrexian troops was slipping. Sleep cycles were disturbed. Units refused deployment to Earth's forests. One squad self-terminated rather than return to the jungle. Vector clenched his claws, the first hints of uncertainty flickering behind his eyes. Earth was no longer just a battlefield. It was becoming a nightmare. The Ghost Network. The Thalrexians controlled the skies. They ruled the cities. But beneath their feet, in the ruins and shadows, something new was rising. It began as scattered whispers on cracked radio frequencies. A phrase spoken by rebel cells in Detroit, Sao Paulo, Warsaw. Ghosts never die. The Ghost Network was born. It wasn't a centralized command. No single leader, no headquarters to target. It was digital smoke, bouncing signals off abandoned satellites, old fiber optic lines, even weather balloons. Human hackers, ex-military, teenagers, and rogue AIs all fed into the system. It stitched the resistance together with stolen data and ghost-coded protocols the Empire's surveillance couldn't crack. At the heart of it stood Sergeant Maya Reyes, scarred and relentless. She wasn't trying to win a war conventionally. She was building a myth. From the ashes of war zones, her team sent distorted footage into Thalrexian comms. Infrared clips of cloaked figures moving through fog, soldiers laughing in blood-slicked trenches, distorted audio of human children singing lullabies over burning patrols. It wasn't always real. That didn't matter. The legend was. They're ghosts. One captured alien sobbed in interrogation. "We shoot them, and they keep coming. They don't sleep. They don't fear death. They hunt." Soon, names spread across the galactic networks like a plague. The skin hunters of Siberia. The laughing men of Mogadishu. The screaming children of Warsaw. Half truth, half lie, entirely terror. Lieutenant Karek, now a captive turned prisoner of war, was brought before Reyes again. He sat trembling, thinner, broken. Not from torture. Reyes hadn't touched him since the jungle. She showed him more. Footage of World War II, the Holocaust, the firebombing of Dresden. Genocides, civil wars, men laughing as they lit each other on fire. "We did this to ourselves," she said coldly. "You think you're teaching us fear. But fear is our oldest language. We were born in it, raised by it. Now we speak it better than you ever will." Karek looked at her with glassy, haunted eyes. "You're not soldiers. You're demons." Reyes leaned in. "No, demons hide in shadows. We drag them into the light. And right now, that's you." Across the Empire's occupied zones, Thalrexian forces began unraveling. Troops refused to patrol at night. Officers reported phantom sightings. A cruiser in low orbit received a hacked broadcast showing a Thalrexian being eaten alive, looped on every screen. That soldier had died peacefully in sleep. Didn't matter. The footage was believed. In subjugated worlds across the Empire, sparks ignited. Oppressed species, long cowed by fear, heard the truth. Humans were fighting back and winning. Some called Earth cursed. Others called it divine retribution. Either way, the Empire's grip was loosening. Vector, still in orbit, slammed his clawed fist into a console. They're turning fear into a weapon. He was wrong. Fear wasn't a weapon. Fear was the battlefield, and humanity had claimed it. The Empire retreats. The Empire had no word for retreat. For 10,000 years, the Thalrexians had expanded, crushed, and enslaved without pause. They saw themselves as inevitable, as order made manifest. But now, across their command networks, one human word began to take root like a virus. Run. High Strategist Vector stood alone in the observation chamber aboard the flagship Veneration of Flame. Below him, Earth burned in patches, cities still under siege, resistance cells firing up into the night like sparks refusing to die. The casualty reports were no longer numbers. They were stories. Entire battalions lost in caves they never should have entered. Officers assassinated in their sleep. Elite forces driven mad by human psychops. The newest terror was a psychological collapse among troops who had never seen a human, only heard their broadcasts, watched their brutal footage, felt their presence in the dark. And then came the final blow. The Ghost Network hijacked the Empire's secure fleet broadcast. Every screen across the Earth blockade lit up with a montage. No voice, just images, a bloodied U.S. Marine dragging his body through sand to throw one last grenade, a young Polish resistance fighter smiling before her execution, a mushroom cloud boiling the sky, soldiers locked in hand-to-hand combat, screaming, bleeding, laughing. Then, finally, Sergeant Reyes appeared, face hardened, eyes full of fire. "You came to teach us obedience," she said. "We taught you fear." The screen cut to black. Silence. Then chaos. Across the fleet, mutiny erupted. Low-ranking officers begged for redeployment off-world. One destroyer self-destructed to avoid surface reentry. Rebellion sparked on 3 subjugated planets within days, each emboldened by what Earth had done. The myth had spread. The Empire had tried to conquer a species bred in war, sharpened by history, and incapable of surrender. And they had failed. On Earth, Reyes stood beside the burning wreckage of a Thalrexian transport, watching as the last of the invaders fled the atmosphere. Her face bore fresh scars, but her eyes were calm. Beside her, an old comm unit crackled to life. An intercepted alien transmission. Strategist Vector confirmed deceased. Rebel uprising on Thalrex Prime. Empire leadership destabilized. Earth classified as quarantine death world. All forces advised. Do not engage human species. She chuckled, voice dry. Quarantine us all you want. We already got out. Behind her, resistance fighters raised a flag stitched together from torn uniforms. Human and alien alike. A new symbol. A warning. Years later, Karek, exiled and broken, sat in a dark chamber on a neutral world. He spoke to a gathering of young alien officers eager to rise through the Imperial remnants. "Don't chase glory on Earth," he rasped. "They don't fight like we do. They don't stop. They don't fear death." He looked each one in the eye. "They teach it." Epilogue, optional one-liner. In the void between stars, the Empire once ruled by fear. Now, they whisper a name in terror. Humanity.